The name by which the Papago tribes are commonly known is a derivation from the proper form, Papa Oram, as given by their missionary Father Quino, signifying being people frijoleros. From the lagoons they collect salts, which they formerly traded to other tribes. In the pre-colonial times, the men were almost naked except for a G-string, while the women wore only a short skirt. In the temperament, they were noted for their industry and friendly disposition towards the whites. Their rivals were the Apaches from the late 17th century until the beginning of the 20th century, when conflict with the European settlers caused both the Papagos and the Apaches. They spoke the dialect of the Pima language and resembled the neighboring tribes in all essentials of culture and characteristics. The Papagos were traditionally a semi-sedentary tribe. The rain variation in the desert and plains created seasonal variation in the location of the tribe. Papagos raised cattle and farmed to make a living for themselves. They relied on farming, focusing mainly on corn, beans, and cotton. The Papagos didn't use an irrigation system. Instead, they used a pattern of rain season to grow crops. With the first rain, the crops would be placed deep in the ground, and the subsequent rains gave way to the harvest. The tribe also gathered the wild plants and vegetables of the area. The Papagos have retained their traditions into the 21st century, and their language is still spoken. Their first church was opened in 1699 under the Catholic religion. The White Dove of the Desert, founded in the 1700s by the Jesuit missionary and explorer Eusebio Kino, with the current church building constructed by the Papagos and Franciscan priests from 1783 to 1797. However, recent decades have increasingly eroded Papago traditions in the face of the surrounding environment of the American mass culture. They are farmers, stock raisers, and general laborers, practically all civilized.
Papago women's chief work was basketry. Since it was easier to carry their pots and baskets, every woman needed baskets. Girls learned to make baskets from childhood and up, and they also made nicely painted vessels for storing seeds. The Papago women would typically wear tucked blouses and colorful full skirts decorated with ribbons and lace in the Spanish colonial style. Women also wore long black shawls, however, whenever outside their homes and walked behind their husbands. But before they were married, the girl's parents were the ones choosing the suitable man. According to the Papago and Pima Indians of Arizona by Ruth M. Underhill, often they did not tell the girl anything about it until the last moment, for she was young and not thought to be wise enough to choose her for herself. Once married, when the girl turned 15 years old, the Papago felt she was old enough for childbearing. Childbearing was a big deal, as the tribe felt that everything connected with childbearing was so mysterious that it had a dangerous magic. They thought that she must be purified. The girl is then sent to a hut for 4 days with older women and taught how to carry wood and water, which would be her chief duties in life. The girl then, for an entire month, dances every night and is put to work hard during the day. When the month was over, she was sent to the medicine man, who marked her with yellow clay, just as he marked a woman who had a baby.
Most of the 25,000 Tohono O'odham today live in southern Arizona, but there is also a population of several thousand in northern Sonora, Mexico. Unlike the Aboriginal groups along the U.S.-Canada border, the Tohono O'odham were not given dual citizenship when a border was drawn across their lands in 1853 by the Gadsden Purchase. The Gadsden Purchase, known as Venta de la Mesilla, or Sale of La Mesilla in Mexico, is a 29,670 square mile region of present-day southern Arizona and southwestern New Mexico that was purchased by the United States in a treaty signed by President Franklin Pierce on June 24, 1853, and ratified by the U.S. Senate on April 25, 1854. Despite the lack of dual citizenship, members of the nation moved freely across current international boundaries for decades, with the blessing of the U.S. government. to work, participate in religious ceremonies, keep medical appointments in cells, and visit relatives. Even today, many tribal members make an annual pilgrimage to Magdalena, Sonora during St. Francis festivities. Note the Festival of St. Francis as told in A Beautiful and Cruel Country. But since the mid-1980s, stricter border enforcement has restricted this movement, and tribal members born in Mexico or who have insufficient documentation to prove U.S. birth or residency have found themselves trapped in a remote corner of Mexico with no access to tribal centers only tens of miles away. These stricter border enforcement disallow the papago freedom of culture, economic and religious freedom, as well as separating family and causing a breakup of the larger nation into smaller subgroups. Since 2001, bills have been repeatedly introduced in Congress to solve the one people, two country problem by granting U.S. citizenship to all enrolled members of the Tohono O'odham, but have so far been unsuccessful. Reasons that have been advanced in opposition to granting U.S. citizenship to all enrolled members of the nation include the fact that births on the reservation have been for a large part informally recorded, and records are capable of easy falsification. The proximity of the U.S.-Mexico border incurs further costs to the tribal government and breeds many social problems as well.
In the present day, the Papagos' economy is sustained by the income of their 3 desert diamond casinos, which are 10 years old. Although the casinos give them most of their income, they still have agriculture. They harvest mostly corn, beans, and squash, and they raise cattle. But one of their most important handicaps to its economic development has been their isolation. They currently have the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial, which was created to prevent tragic events such as the Esperanza Fire of October 1967, where many of the members of the tribe died. Since the 1960s, obesity has been the main problem of the tribe, developing type 2 diabetes. Half to three-quarters of the adults have type 2 diabetes, but their traditional foods regulate blood sugar, maintaining their members stable without medication. On the subject of their language, Uto-Aztecan, the Papago tribe's language is heavily threatened, either by Spanish and English, which is mostly spoken by the young members, but they still speak their native language. Each February, the Cells Rodeo and Parade is held in the capital of the nation. The rodeo has been an annual event of 69 years commemorating the Papago tribe. Currently, the National Museum of American Indian, where the Papago tribe is represented in the founding exhibition.